Warning, this show contains adult language. Welcome to another edition of Up and In It. I'm your host, Adrian Babashoff, and if you're new here, welcome as well. And if you're wondering what the show is about, it's entirely dedicated to improving quality of life for both people and planet through liberation and independence, moving you from surviving to thriving and living life on your own terms.
Well, this is all just some view of one person, but I think we could really change things around. I don't think that we really need to struggle. I think a lot of struggle is brought on by ourselves and by society. And there's a lot of things that are very unnecessary in our lives that I don't know why we keep doing. I'm sure each individual of us thinks to ourselves every once in a while and goes, why am I doing the things that I'm doing? Well, is there anything better? Well, I'm here today to tell you guys that I think that there is. Now, I don't have all the answers, but I do look and I do practice at essential living techniques. And sometimes when I think widely and openly about it, I ask myself that, are all the things I'm doing, when I get just, really just pissed off, fucking angry, and like, you know what, screw it, I'm done, I'm out of here. Why, where, what, how, who, what's going on? So that's what we're going to talk about today. So the first topic I have is survival in the wilderness versus civilized living. I did a writing a couple of years back, maybe a lot of years back, called Mountain Man Money Mentality. And I don't think I phrased it right. It should have just been Mountain Man Survival Mentality. And for 20th century living, let's just imagine that you did say, screw it, I'm out of here, I'm going to the mountains, I'm done, right? I'm going to get away from listening to this guy in this pickup truck going down the road with this humming background. I'm sorry about that. I'm on my commute back home from a little tiny day off at the beach. Figured I'd throw this podcast in here. But when I was writing this Mountain Man Money Mentality deal thing, I started to think to myself, if I was going out to the wilderness, what would I need? I'd probably want a rifle, I'd probably want a pistol, like a Colt 45, something very strong, to protect myself. I'd also want a hatchet to build things. I'd probably want a good skinning knife, a hunting knife. What would I want? I'd need a place to sleep, I'd need a tent and a sleeping bag, a place to keep me warm. Maybe I'd need a mule, a walking mule. A friend of mine told me that because it was something I actually took into consideration when I was younger. Like, you know what? I'm just going to head straight up those mountains and disappear. He's like, why you should carry everything on your back? Why don't you get yourself a mule and just, if you don't want to ride a horse, just have the mule carry everything for you. I thought, what a pleasant, wonderful idea, because I would need, gunpowder, bullets, fishing gear, tents and stuff like that. You start adding, something to cook with, a frying pan, utensils, that would be, pretty ideal. But when I really sink my thoughts into this and I wonder, what is the difference as far as survival of us going out in the woods or living in civilization? And when I think about this, like, what's essential? What do we need to actually survive? Very few things. We would actually live. In fact, one might live actually quite happy, sleeping out in the woods, going to rivers and lakes, and going to the few free places that you could probably still live in this day and age in our wonderful world with regulations and rules, But when I think about that, there's no difference in the concrete jungle if one was so inclined to actually think about it this way. What if I just got sick and tired of everything, but I was not going to move to the mountains? What if I just get that same mentality and I lived in the city? And I just said, you know what? I guess nowadays you can sleep in a tent, can't you? We got people doing it all over the fucking place. Just nonchalant shitting on people's doorsteps, Just living the dream, living free, people. Jokes, folks. Some of those people are down and out. We shouldn't make fun of people. But yeah, when you start really thinking about this, what are we doing with the choices that we have, the options? Not much. We're buying just a lot of unessential things in our lives. And then we wonder why we're so pissed off, why we're so dragged down. What if we were able to turn this around and pretend that we were a mountain person living up in the mountains, but we were in the city? What if you emptied out your entire house? And I know that sounds extreme, but if it was down to the wire where you're getting ready, you're suicidal, you're like, fuck this, man, I'm done. I'm losing my fucking mind, So, if we really sat down and looked at this in its entirety and started to practice a lot more of essentialism, I think that we can get a very, very far in our lives. I think that we can make a lot more things happen. I think we're bogged down. I think we're really, really bogged down. And what I ask myself in my notes here, are we struggling by our own design? And sometimes, I think even myself, I don't want to hear this, but I still have a lot of unnecessary things, looking inward. But am I bringing the struggle on to myself by following the system? We don't have to follow this system. There's nobody here saying this is what you got to do. Obviously, we have people shitting on doorsteps, right? They don't seem to really give a damn. But we really don't have to live this way. I don't want to live in a tent, though. I really don't want to do that. I want to try to find some happy medium. And what if life actually could get better if we did start incorporating essentialistic living into our lives? And guess what? I have been doing just that. And you know what? It feels pretty damn good, and it's addicting, and I think I want to keep doing more. That's what it affords me. People ask me, when I was out on vacation, how long you guys been here for? I said, probably about 3 weeks or so. And they're like, what? 3 weeks? When are you planning on leaving? I says, I don't know. And when we run out of food, I guess, supplies, we'll have to go back in town. And then what? And I says, well, we'll probably come back if we want to. We just kind of travel around for a few weeks, months, until we actually get sick and tired of it. And then we'll go home to our simple, essentialistic life. And these people are just dumbfounded. How is that even possible? That is awesome with your kids. And then I tell them, well, yeah, it's kind of like our 5th or 6th year. What? I got to get back to my business and everything. Obviously, you must have an easy life and something. You're retired. No, I'm not retired. I'm a hybridized human being who just kind of starts incorporating new things in their life, like essentialism. So, yeah, short story long there. Sorry about that. But I start to think and I get giddy. I get really giddy. And I want to share some stuff with you guys today about how we don't have to struggle. And I think it's each individual's choice that we need to make. We need to figure out what exactly it is that we want. So, minimalism versus essentialism. So, minimalism, I look at, is to just get rid of a lot of your things. And I agree with a heck of a lot of it. And maybe I'm not too educated, so somebody could correct me here where I'm wrong. But I think there's a difference. Because in minimalism, you want the minimal amount of things possible. You want to live the most simplest life and not be stressed out, not have too many possessions and things like that. And essentialism kind of is. It kind of reminds me of the definition of sustainability versus resiliency. Sustainable is like we can get to this certain point and just kind of stay there. But something could rock it off, right? Something can knock it off. Where I like resiliency is something that's built very strong, like a rubber band. If you stretch it out, snap it back, it goes back to its form and it's unscathed. So it's not necessarily sustaining just a level. It's actually resilient. It's strong. Any kind of changes or anything that happen, there's a little play on words there. But I think the same thing with minimalism and essentialism. And essentialism, I look, is there's probably a lot of things that you want to have in your life that are essential. I'm not talking about, a brand new, 80-inch TV, if they even make those. I don't know. Those ridiculous big-ass TVs that they got. Is that essential? If you're half blind, probably so. But I look at a lot of goods, like a bread maker. Is it essential? No, not really. But if you're living in the city and you want to hybridize your life to grab the best of the best, and you're into eating bread, which I'm not, but I look at these simple these machines, and this is a way to automate your life. You can just put the mixtures in that bread maker and walk away and have a loaf of bread that bakes for you within a few hours. What if you're able to throw another loaf in there, and then you sell it to your neighbors? You let the wafting, nice, beautiful smell go out and tantalize their nostrils. And you start giving free samples away. Next thing you know, the whole neighborhood's going, man, the best bread I've ever tasted and fresh. Way better than Wonder Bread. See where I'm going with that? It actually starts to turn into a little business that actually starts to help you live that minimalistic, essential life. Now you really don't have to work so hard. Maybe you're making kombucha, which you should, which I do, and it's really great for you. Maybe since you're brewing 2 gallons, maybe you could brew 4 gallons. I started doing that as well. You need a lot of space. You need a lot of jars. It doesn't need any machinery, really. But start brewing some kombucha and brew a whole bunch of it. Start making your own flavors, like mine personally is black cherry, lime, mint. Oh, to die for. And also green apple cinnamon. These are things I haven't seen in any grocery stores. And I gave it to some of my neighbors, and they were blown away. What the heck? I will buy $10 a bottle for that kind of stuff, right? And like I told them, it's not watered down like the stuff at the store. Taste it. This is straight viscid, thick, unpasteurized, unfiltered, 100% organic kombucha. When I look at a blender, right, I'm just going to start naming off a couple things quickly here. When I look at a blender that blends nuts and makes into like grains into flour. It makes hot soups and does all these things for you without having to do a lot of work. Are these things essential? No, but if we're in a hybridized life where you're working really hard, or you want to get out of whatever you're in and into what you want to get into, it's going to take some work. So in my case, these things are essential. This is like it's like having a robot. I have a juicer, same thing. It's very difficult for me to find the time to chop up vegetables. Sometimes I have vegetables go bad from my garden where I grow a lot of my own food. There's another one. So to finish up, I do my juices because it's a lot easier to digest and quick. You can drink one mason jar, a quart-size jar, and that's like a salad the size of a kitchen table, right? So it saves me a lot of time. I batch make these things. I could also go and start selling or trading for other things for these. So needless to say, just like the garden where I grow, I don't own the land, but I spin farm off of it. Would it be essential for me to have land? I think it would be a lot more convenient, because the land I grow on is a 15-minute drive from where I'm at. Something goes wrong, I'm not there. And I've designed things where I don't have to be there that much. But bad things could happen. Bad things have happened. And you got to kind of watch out. You got to kind of watch for these type of things. But when you think about that, should somebody own land? I think, yeah. Is it essential? It's essential to your survival. The food that we're eating is killing us. The sugars and everything. We're consumers. We are stuck. We're imprisoned by working for $1, a piece of paper, in exchange for goods that suck and that are costing us money, costing us our time, and in some, like I said, cases, costing you your life, your health, your happiness, your growth. So yeah, I would say it definitely is essential if we start looking at these different things. And to me, my research, about an acre per person is probably pretty ideal, or the minimal amount that you want to use to grow your own, to produce your own goods. I'm thinking even more, because you want firewood. If you're going to live really minimalistic or essentialist, you want to start producing a lot more of your things. You're going to need to start growing bamboo, trees for firewood, trees for harvest, trees for food. Trees to give some back to nature instead of taking the whole acre to yourself. So I think that, yeah, a large piece of land would be lucrative and essential to survival. I don't think that I don't mean to pick on minimalism, by the way, guys. I practice minimalism as well. I just incorporate it, grab what works for me and what doesn't. But yeah, let's move on to, I skipped on my notes, and pardon me, I'm driving, and there's a lot of rain here, and there's people just driving like they're not even looking around. So the accumulate, and let it be known is my last thing here. Let it be known that you do have a choice. I think a lot of people are unaware, as I said, that there are other ways of living. We're just not exposed to those type of things. Now, sometimes I think to myself, on living in a third world country in South America, how I was exposed to people who live with dirt floors. I mean, these people provided or produced almost everything that they needed. That's what we did as well, everything. We made candles out of fat. We made our own soaps. We lived on a large acre of a dairy farm where we grew our own grains for the cows. If memory serves me correctly, I don't think we bought hay, any of that stuff. We made our own bales. We actually had a horse that walked around in a circle, and there was this gearbox. The horse powered the gearbox. You would stuff hay in the top and it would spit out bales. That's how we plowed. I remember being like 9, 10 years old behind a horse and plow with a strap around my shoulder. And I remember the straps being tightened at the wrong places and actually blacking out the horse. It couldn't breathe, right? It sucked. I definitely learned my lesson. I felt so bad. But I mean, a lot of these people, I rode a horse to school. Back then we used to go to church, and we would ride a horse and buggy to church. We had one pickup truck, but hey, why do that when you got a horse? All it doesn't need gas, right? It doesn't need an oil change. And we had babies, they reproduced themselves. Turkeys, chickens, sheep, cows, goats, we had everything going on. And that pretty much, my friends, was essential living off the land. And I don't think I ever got rid of it. So bringing it back to civilized living here, and to know that we have a choice, is, I think, to comprehend all of these things that we're saying. We can simplify our lives. Do we choose to? I think a lot of us, we don't. I think there's a lot of stuff that's got us boggled. There's a lot of invisible handcuffs, basically, we have our mentalities are all jumbled up, and we really don't know. We really don't know. I think the majorities of people have never been exposed to things like I have been, and we don't think outside the box and try to wonder, is there a different way? And I really like to stress the motive of freedom here, because so many people, I think, start to have bad times, and a lot of bad things are happening around in the world, and I think it's a lot because of our lifestyle design. This rat race is just really getting tough. We got inflation going up and everything. And you know what? To battle inflation and to not be, to not suffer, to not be suffering, means that we should start practicing essentialism. We should start practicing minimalism. And that the way to combat inflation and everything is not to need so much. Inflation does what? What is it? It's the cost of goods going up. Well, what if you didn't need that much electricity? What if you lived in 280 square feet, 250 square feet like I do? I live in a travel trailer, aka tiny house, that's 8 foot by 29 feet. We got 3 people. It doesn't take a lot of electricity to heat that thing. Is it the best of living, like the most comfortable? No, not really, but that's why I have an outdoor couch and a little patio thing that I built. A little canopy where we sit down. We spend most of our time outdoors. I've never once cooked inside my RV, inside of my tiny house. I cook everything on a barbecue or outside. We've switched things around. And to go back what I was saying to third world country living is when you see the simplicity of the way these people live, siesta time was the thing in Uruguay with the gauchos and the Uruguayans. It was, when you got the farm and the cows and stuff and everybody's fenced in, you got this large, estancia, or your ranch, you can take an hour nap. Guess what? Because when you wake up, goats are still going to be there, cows are going to be there, chickens are going to be there, the sky is still going to be daylight, and if it's not, what else are you going to do? There's no time of somebody saying 9 to 5. There's no time of that. Nobody really cares. In fact, what was awesome is the country of Uruguay in Montevideo, I think it was, the city never sleeps. There's things going on all the time. People actually take 2-3 hour lunches, go home with their families, eat some food, watch a show, take a nap, read a book, and then go back to work. As long as all the work gets done, there's no timely fashion. I mean, to me, guys, that's freedom. That's living life to its fullest. And I think we have a lot of this stuff backwards. Sure, it's good to have order in life and have these kind of things, but how well is that serving all of us? How well are we all doing with that? How is that all life working out for you guys? And do you guys realize that you do have a choice? I want that to be known, that each individual, if you are suffering out there and you're just tripping out on all this stuff and just you feel lost, you don't know what to do, where to go, well, you can always go back to the hustle and bustle rat race. You can also take considerations to go and start minimizing your life and living, essentially changing your mentality, changing everything in your home, about your life, about who you expose yourself to, what you expose yourself to. I think we should do a whole nother show, a sequel to this thing, on how to get started with essential living. If you're excited about it now and you want to, I think that's what I'm going to do, guys. Tomorrow's show, or the next show that I'm going to do on here, is going to be about how to get started with essential living. So that's the show, guys. Hopefully, if I brought you guys some value, please like and subscribe, share the show. You guys want it to keep going, and you want me to still be here. We're getting close to 300 episodes. Let's get this thing out. Let's get the message out, and let's keep doing this thing. Let's get this thing growing. Help me do that, please, in exchange for the work and hopefully the inspiration and things I provided for you. So, guys, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Or you can check out the show on TikTok, Instagram. There's different parts on the private Facebook group site, YouTube, and all of that. So, guys, as I always say, go out there and have yourself a near-life experience. Don't lose your muchness. Carry on the fire. Human up. Live it, love it, own it. And bone it, my friends.